Hi there, my name's Carl and I'm the auctioneer at Prestige Auctions in Grimsby. Welcome to episode 2 of Auction Finds, where we look at great items that come into the auction room, little bit interesting ones that we can show you, talk about, maybe you could look out for them in the future. And we're also going to look at what they're worth. So if you hang around to the end of this video, we will tell you what this item might make under the hammer. What we're looking at today, well, it's a Bill Baird classic valve amplifier. It's an amazing piece of kit. You don't see many of these around anymore. They were a lot of money when they came out, but what are they actually worth now? We'll hopefully, by the end of this video, be able to find out. But before we do that, let's have a look at last week's items, which was that fantastic run of 1960s £1 notes. And let's see what they made under the hammer. So this is last week's item. It was these fantastic £1 notes. And if you remember rightly, there was a run of 60 of them. What made them so special? Well, those from the 1960s. And to keep hold of this many notes from that sort of time would have been a lot of money back then. £60 was a lot of money. These were in crisp mint condition, and lots of people came down to the auction room to bid on them. And of course, last week when we explained it, we was trying to decipher what they might make. Well, I gave them an estimate of £180 to £220, and oh my goodness, did it surpass that. Everything just went in the right direction. People loved the item. Dealers turned out for it, collectors turned out for it, and they ended up making £490 under the hammer, which is a lot of money for what is £60 in value. Little bit of advice for everybody, of course, though. This here tells you that you should never take these back to the bank. Come and speak to your local auction room before you think about taking them back to the bank. Had you have taken those back to the bank, then you would have got £60. In the auction room, £490, bit of commission off, probably about £450. Well worth taking them to the auction. So here we go with today's item that we're going to be looking at. This is a Bill Baird, or Bill Beard, some people might pronounce it, valve amplifier. From what we can gather, this was brought out in the 1990s, somewhere around the late 80s, early 90s anyway. And this was a quality item. Why did people go for valve amplifiers? Well, valve amplifiers not only looked good, but they sounded great. They gave you power, performance, and everything that you would like, and you would expect to see something like this, potentially in a little studio flat in London or somewhere quite nice, where they had a few quid because they could afford to buy the better items there. You can see this one is not in bad condition. However, this one has been stored for a few years. When you look at the ones we're going to show you in a minute that are on the internet, you'll see that these cages at the top have been removed. You can see all the valves in there, but they've all been polished up. There's no dust, and they look really, really good. So when you're looking at them, if you walked into somebody's flat or house and they had the audio set up there, then this would look really, really nice to the eye, as well as sounding fantastic as well. Now, these things do come up in auction every now and then. I won't say they come up all the time, because they don't, but when they do come up, they do make money because they are sought after. As you'll see from some of the examples we're going to show you soon, these can make quite a few pounds. So I'm just going to turn the amplifier around so we can have a look around the back. What you will notice is it's got all the standard plugs and jacks to what you would see on any normal amplifier. So if you look down here, you've got all the tapes in, the auxiliaries, tuner, extension, phono there, and basically these are items that you need to plug all of your items in. Everything on these stereos runs through the amplifier, of course, to make the sound. So you've got your speaker plugs there as well. You'll notice there as well that this is just a standard kettle lead plug. So basically, like you would get on any kettle in the UK, they sort of got nicknamed kettle leads over the years. So that's the one that goes in there, and then you've got your fuses there, and then you've got more speakers there, and then you've got more pieces down there. You can see this one here. We haven't touched this. It's not our job to do this, really. It is quite dusty, and I would say to anybody that was thinking of purchasing this, do think on, does it work? Is there any problems with it? These can be reasonably expensive to get serviced. So it's well worth having a good look over it, making sure you are happy on what you are bidding on. It's a great piece of kit, this one, but could be expensive if there are any problems with it. So you need to take that into consideration before raising your hand. The other thing I would say to anybody that's thinking of buying one of these, if they're thinking of putting it into the resale market, is these are extremely heavy as well. I even struggled to carry this through into the studio. So take that into consideration, because when you're looking at sending something through the post, you want to make sure it gets there safely. My advice on this, if you was buying it and you were a reseller, you would of course ask for collection only. So there you go. Bill Baird Amplifier BB100 valve amp, beautiful piece of kit. But the big question is what's it worth? So let's have a look at some of the examples that are out there for items that are for sale or people that are just showing. What we did find is when we went onto eBay, which is a reference point for a lot of people, that there are actually none in listings and none in sold listings either. And that may go back to what I was talking about just now about how difficult these are to send through the post. So what you are finding them on is more sort of specialized sites. When we look on the internet, we did manage to find lots of them. The BB100 is quite a nice piece, as you can see there, and there are lots of them around. Now, what you're finding is most people are actually just talking about them. There's not so many of them for sale, although we have managed to find one or two of these that are actually for sale. We went to this one here, which was the Bill Baird BB100 Vintage Tube Power Amplifier. Very rare, as they put there, and that one is up for sale as not functioning at £602.75. So that gives you a pretty good idea what these things can be worth. Now, when you look at the pictures of this, very not unsimilar to the one that we've got. You can see there on the kettle lead is similar to what we were talking about, but this one has been sorted out inside, so it's not full of dust. The valves look really, really good. And can you see aesthetically how good that would look in your studio apartment or something? It would look quite nice. So as you're coming down here, again, it's exactly the same one, but you can see it looks the part. So with the overhead views and everything that they've done there, everything about it looks good. So it's a very nice piece, but what is it actually worth? What do I think it will make under the hammer? It's quite a tricky one, this one, because it is not the kind of thing that we sell all of the time. So even though they do come in occasionally, people are always quite wary about whether they work or not. And it's one of those that you think, well, it could blow up, it could go really good. When I say blow up, I mean in the auction room, lots of people bidding on it, a bit like the notes last week. So auctioneer's valuation on this one, I'm going to give it under the hammer of £300 to £400. I think that's roughly where it will be. I think because people are going to have to take into consideration the risk, and they're going to have to take into the consideration it needs a clean up and possibly a service as well, as it's been stood for so many years. What do you think it's worth? Why don't you leave a message in the comments for us, telling us what you think it's going to make under the hammer? And we shall have a look. We'll do a separate video looking at all the different guesses for different items in the coming weeks. Thanks ever so much for watching this one, and we will be back again next week with another fantastic episode, and we'll also be talking about how this did this week in the auction. Don't forget, it's important to us if you hit that subscribe button, the notification bell, and leave a comment as well, because it does help our channel grow. Thanks ever so much, and we'll see you all very soon at the auction.